Ever feel your car vibrating under your feet when you hit the gas? That's not just random shake. It could be the first warning that your drive shaft is failing. Many shrug it off until the vibration grows into a harsh shudder or the car flat out refuses to move. By then, you're facing a hefty repair. Replacing a drive shaft often runs anywhere from $300 to over $1,000, depending on the setup. Stick with me. In the next few minutes, you'll know the exact signs to look for and a simple checklist to use in your own garage. Let's start with that first subtle clue most people miss. The first silent warnings. The first silent warnings usually show up as vibration. Not the kind from rough pavement, but a shake that builds as you accelerate or put the car under strain. You might notice it pulling onto the highway or climbing a hill. At first, it's easy to write off as road surface or worn tires, which is why it slips past most drivers. But underneath, the drive shaft isn't spinning true anymore. Here's why. The shaft relies on U-joints and on some cars, a center support bearing to let it rotate as the drivetrain and suspension move. When those parts wear or lose lubrication, the shaft falls slightly out of balance. Instead of turning smooth, it wobbles just enough to feed vibration into the cabin. Picture a washing machine with the load bunched on one side. At first, it just thumps lightly. Ignore it, and suddenly the whole unit is crashing against the floor. A drive shaft works the same way. Once it's out of balance, shake builds, parts wear faster, and the failure snowballs. The problem is that vibration feels a lot like other things. A tire out of balance can buzz the steering wheel at highway speeds. Rough asphalt gets written off as just the road. That's why drivers and even techs can misdiagnose this early stage. The danger is, while you're second-guessing tires, the shaft's bearings are grinding down every mile. By the time the vibration turns into a harsh shudder on acceleration, you're already well into repair territory. Noise is another quiet clue. A faint squeak at low speed, rhythmic, turning with the shaft often points to dry or starved U-joints. Grease carries the needle bearings inside, and when it's gone, metal drags on metal. Swap that sound for a solid clunk when taking off or shifting gears, and you're hearing advanced wear. That clunk means the joint has play that grease won't fix, and every launch is beating up the part until it breaks. Letting those symptoms ride leads to more than just shake and squeak. As U-joints bind, the shaft pushes against the drivetrain at poor angles. That can make acceleration rough and even pull the car offline. Steering trouble can happen here, but remember, stubborn turns aren't only caused by the shaft. Always double check power steering fluid, tires, and differential issues too. Still, leave a bad drive shaft unchecked and you're stacking stress on your transmission and gears right along with it. Now, about repairs. Catch it early, and sometimes all it takes is new grease or a single U-joint swap. But set expectations right. If the center bearing is shot or the shaft itself is bent, you'll be looking at a full replacement instead. And that matters for your budget. A whole drive shaft job typically runs somewhere between $300 and $1,200 depending on the vehicle. That's why hearing and catching the first squeak or shake ends up saving you hundreds. Straight up. The worst call is waiting until the car shakes like a cart with a broken wheel. By that point, it isn't just a drive shaft. It's the surrounding parts on the repair order too. What you need is a quick, no-tools starting point to separate harmless vibration from a drive shaft going bad. That's exactly where we're headed next. Simple checks you can do right in your driveway before the problem has a chance to grow. DIY checks that spot trouble fast. DIY checks make spotting drive shaft trouble faster than most people think. You don't need a lift or expensive tools, just a safe work area and a sharp eye. Drive shafts leave their fingerprints in plain sight if you know where to look. Before anything hands-on, safety comes first. Park on level ground, set the parking brake, and chock the wheels. Support the car with jack stands. Never trust a jack alone. For automatics, leave the shifter in park. For manuals, lock it in gear or put it in neutral with the parking brake engaged. And one more reminder, if you don't feel confident working underneath, don't improvise. Take it to a shop. Once you're set, think of your inspection as a simple 3-step checklist. Step 1, the visual scan. Look the drive shaft over for dents or bends. Even a small hit from debris can throw it out of balance at speed. Check for rust. Light surface rust is mostly cosmetic, but flakes or deep pits weaken the tube. Now look near the joints. Any streaks of grease sprayed on the underbody mean a seal has failed. A healthy joint keeps lubrication inside. If you can see it outside, the joint is already running dry. Step 2, the wiggle test. Grab the shaft close to a U-joint and try to twist it by hand. It should feel rock solid. If you feel any perceptible slack, or if the movement gives you a hollow clunk, that joint is done. Think of it like a rusted door hinge. It still turns, but it doesn't hold its shape, and it drags itself apart with every cycle. Step 3, for vehicles with a 2-piece shaft, check the center support bearing. Press on it. If the rubber is cracked, if it feels loose, or if the shaft drags when you move it up or down, it's worn out. A bad bearing shows up as shudder during takeoff and forces the U-joints to carry stress they shouldn't. Different drivetrains show different symptoms, so match the check to your setup. On front-wheel drive cars, trouble is usually in the CV joints. The giveaway sound is a click or pop in a tight, low-speed turn. That's the joint's bearings failing to roll smoothly. On rear-wheel and all-wheel drives, the sound changes. Expect a clunk when shifting from drive to reverse, plus excess play in the shaft when you run the wiggle test. Knowing which drivetrain you have means you don't chase the wrong clue. There's a quick road test that helps narrow it down too. Take the car out and build some speed. If the vibration disappears the moment you depress the clutch, odds are the driveline is the culprit. That's a simple way to confirm what you saw underneath without guessing blind. Keep this in mind, the car will run fine right up until it doesn't. A failed joint can let go suddenly, disconnecting the drive shaft completely. When that happens, the engine might roar, but nothing reaches the wheels. At that point, you're stuck waiting for a tow. These 5-minute checks catch most problems before they leave you stranded. They don't replace professional service, but they give you the knowledge to decide when a small issue is safe to watch and when it's time for a fix. The cost of ignoring them isn't just higher repair bills, it's control of the vehicle itself. So here's the wrap up. Driveshaft trouble announces itself with 3 clear symptoms: vibration or shudder under load, clunking or squeaks around the joints, and either clicks in tight turns or slack you can feel on the wiggle test. Lock those in your memory, that's your quick recall list. Ignore those signs and you're gambling with both cost and reliability. A failed shaft can strand the car outright, and repairs run from a few hundred to well over $1,000 once other parts get dragged in. Do this week, check your U-joints and center support bearing. If you spot play or hear clunks, get it fixed now. Comment your make and model along with the symptom you noticed. It helps other DIYers zero in on the same issues. And subscribe for practical how-tos and straight-up shop rules you can use this weekend.